I'm in this robe. I'm not gonna film in this, but I just wanna show how fluffy the robes are at the Ritz. This material, I've been raving about it. It's like lightweight, but also plush. I'm just a big fan. I'm gonna get dressed. This is not the fit check, but this is a video on do's and don'ts for eclipse season. Sorry for the longish intro, but it's me, so strap in. Gonna talk about the do's and the don'ts for eclipse season. This is going to be a pretty straightforward video, but I do need to get dressed because I need to go buy Whole Foods after this, so I will be right back. Okay, we're back explaining what an eclipse is, what I recommend that you do, and what you don't do around this time of year. So I have a full video on the north and south nodes of the moon, which are the eclipse points, and that can be helpful in understanding the different energetic extremes. We'll first describe what an eclipse is so that you then understand the rationale for what you should or should not do, or what I fucking recommend. Go rebel against me, make a TikTok about how I'm whatever, problematic, I don't give a shit. This is what I highly would encourage anyone to do. So eclipses are when the sun, the moon, and the earth line up in such a way that obstructs light. The definition of eclipse is when light is obstructed. So when the sun, the moon, and the earth either line up with the sun in between, when the sun, the moon, and the earth line up with the moon in between the sun and the earth, that is when there is darkness because the moon is blocking the sun. When the earth is in between the moon and the sun, that is when there's a huge amount of light, sometimes red or another really stark color like orange or bright yellow because of the obstruction of the earth. So a solar eclipse is when it's sun, moon, earth, it's dark. A lunar eclipse is when it's moon, earth, sun, it's very bright. This is just like new or full moons. Solar eclipses are new moons, lunar eclipses are full moons, but the syzygy, which is a cool word, S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y, syzygy, is when there is that obstruction of light going on. And this represents the intensity and the specificity of these lunations. They're not ordinary new or full moons. You might hear myself or other people say that it's kind of like a new or a full moon on steroids because it is a much bigger new beginning or much bigger ending than the usual new or full moons. They are catalyst events. So instead of looking to eclipses like one event that's taking place in your chart, think of it more like a catalyst that is setting off either a huge beginning or a huge ending in that area of your chart. This helps us understand why certain things are more fitting and other things are not, because it's not one event to take advantage of or count on, it's more of an entire cycle beginning. Now, if you look at the eclipse periods every 6 months, those tend to be the very pivotal times of that year. You look at 2020, the eclipses were during the BLM protests and then during the uprisings around elections of December 2020. You look at 2021, this was during some of the escalation of the Ukraine war alongside natural disasters in April, May. Then we're now getting into this during US midterms, likely very high escalation during the war between Russia and Ukraine, and some other things going on in the world like the protests and the uprisings in Iran that are playing into an escalation of energy around this time. If you're wondering what this particular eclipse cycle will represent in the world from a historical point of view, I have a full video on eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio. You can search North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, or the eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio on my channel. If I remember to, I will also link that down below. If I don't, you can hammer me in the comments. So eclipses are generally not fitting for our individual lives to start or end something with our own will. I'll repeat that. Eclipses are not usually fitting for us in our own lives to start or begin something with our own will. This is because the mass energy of major occurrences is going to sweep it up and spit it out, basically. It's kind of like thinking, oh, there's a giant wildfire, why don't I light a match with this? It's not generally going to be the most conducive, nor is it going to be fun. This is not the kind of thing where it's like, oh, fuck it, do it. Yeah, no, this is like, I mean, sure, if you really fucking want to, if you want that energy, but I'm not gonna tell someone to go swimming in ice cold water. If they do, go fuck yourself, cool. Am I gonna sugarcoat it and be like, this is so transformative, emotional? Like, no. I'm gonna be like, that's fucking chaotic, destructive, demonic. So what I do recommend that you do, TLDR, is chill the fuck out. live your life normally. Try not to have any major occurrences. If you do, I'm sure 90% of the comments are going to be like, oh, glad my anniversary is that day. Oh, glad I'm traveling that day. Oh, glad I graduate that day. That's going to be the majority of the comments. However, 90% of the world, you're just going to live your life normally and you're not going to think to do anything major. You're going to notice that that area of your life has either a major new beginning with the solar eclipse or a major ending with the lunar eclipse. That chapter begins around that time. It's not one day you're fired. It might be that you're fired, so you leave an entire industry. It's not that you suddenly get a home. It might be that you sign a lease or you're moving across the world and it's a major new beginning of you owning property in your life. So there might be that new beginning or ending, but it's a huge catalyst in that area of your chart that you can look for the world to provide to you. Eclipses show up in our charts how the world is showing up in our life. World events are showing up in our life, and that is the eclipse energy. This is why number one thing that I generally tell the average person living their life is not to try to start something that is just on your individual life level, because the world events are going to inform a major ending or a major ending starting around that time, and you're probably not going to be able to execute what you want in a constructive way. The best analogy that I think of is trying to light a match with a huge wildfire. Yes, it will work, but do you want the incredible side effects with that? Or trying to surf during a tsunami? Are you sure you really want to go that route? Because you can do it, but I doubt you're going to want all the casualties alongside that. This is not to say that if you have to do anything during that time, it's all going to go downhill. Go get your coffee. The world is not going to end, hopefully. Things like that, just live your life. But if you can look at your chart, look at the Taurus or Scorpio houses, the Taurus one or the Scorpio one is going to be a new beginning starting at the end of October. The Taurus one's going to be a massive ending, very sudden, starting the beginning of November. You can expect the world to show up in those areas of your life. There is no need for you to try to use an intention to bring that forward. In fact, if you try and use an intention, it's usually going to be like perverted or convoluted by the world events in such a way that's very disappointing or just like makes us a little bit distraught. If you want any kind of analogy for maybe something that can represent that, myself, I was born right after a solar eclipse. Donald Trump was born during a lunar eclipse. Not to say that me and him have similar personalities, although if you want to get in my comments and argue that and drive engagement or say that I'm the Trump of astrology, feel free. What I will say is that we're just good, like funny examples of the kind of provocative no matter what energy that comes from eclipses, because the myth of Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology was that there was this dragon Rahu who tried to drink from the nectar of the gods that would give him immortality. And once he did, as a punishment, he was cut in half, and his head remained Rahu, ambition. It was going after that immortality and that goal, but it was cut off from its stomach onwards, Ketu, which suddenly became representative of the past or release or much more fatigued spiritual energy. It refuses the worldly things, but Rahu itself continued to be a head with no stomach. So this eclipse energy is ongoing, chaotic. The North Node, whenever there's an eclipse on the North Node, it is about increased ambition and disruption. Whenever it is on the South Node, it is usually around more tragedy of letting go or endings. So you don't generally want to embody that energy in a day-to-day usual life goal. If your life goal is to terrorize or destroy or completely obliterate something, hypothetically, you could make use of this eclipse energy. I cannot think of a circumstance where I, in good faith, would recommend this. If you are an advanced magical practitioner and you want to try and do something, I'm not going to tell you to stay away from it. I'm just going to say that I don't want to partake in it, and I have no choice but to launch some things during this period. For Astrace, my company, if you don't know about Astrace, we're putting astrology on blockchain and building a series of social and financial applications using astrology and crypto. That's our pitch. If you want to invest, hit me up. But we have to release our preliminary MVP of the vaults during that time. We have to release it at the end of October. I myself, as someone born during eclipses, is like, it's me. What are we going to do? It's me. We can do it. But I would not ideally ask for that. I would not ideally tell anyone to do that. I don't care how much of a badass you are. There's like, the collateral damage is much greater than the initial thing that you wanted. So do not freak out if you cannot avoid it. Just fucking know that there's usually going to be a larger plan that this is swept up in. Don't come to my comments looking for reassurance. Do not. That's the most, do not. That's my number one new thing now I'm going to say. If you're in my comments for reassurance, you're at the wrong place. If you just want, so, like, because you know what I mean? Half the comments are always, is this okay? Like, I don't fucking know. Probably no. Probably no. Probably yes, but like probably no because you're not confident living your own life, that kind of thing. So with that, I do not recommend that you intentionally manipulate the energy around this time. That's a concise way to say it. I would not do some type of ritual invocation. I don't know. I'm not a witch. I used to think I was. I then saw witch talk come at me and I refuse. I'm a person. I don't know. I track cycles and planets. I don't recommend that you do anything like that. If something speaks to you, like you like to light a candle to feel comforted, that's a little different. If you're doing something to feel like comforted, like just like do whatever your thing is, light incense, do whatever. But if you're like, I'm gonna get this guy, I'm gonna get I don't want to say anything and offend the witches. I was thinking voodoo doll, but that's not witchcraft. That's like, maybe it's a kind of witchcraft, but it's not the kind that I know a lot of people are. If there's some type of, like if you're trying to call them in, if you're trying to call the one in, last thing I would do is do some type of spell around an eclipse. Last fucking thing I would do. Last thing. So I hope that paints the illustration for what to do. Chill. Comfort yourself, live your life normally. Look at where the eclipse is happening in your chart for context about where world events will start either a huge new beginning with a solar eclipse or a huge ending with a lunar eclipse that will last over the next 6 months and be revised with a new development in the next eclipse cycle, which is every 6 months. So the entirety of that 6 months tends to be a progression of either the beginning or the ending in that area of your life. For this upcoming one, look to the Scorpio house for a large new beginning that does involve a letting go, but it's a large new beginning over the next 6 months. Look at the Taurus house for an ending that's very sudden and lasts over 6 months. If you're watching this very far in the future, disregard that and just know that solar eclipses are huge new beginnings, lunar eclipses are huge endings and letting go, and the individual astrology of that lunation will inform what details happen. So what not to do, which you probably can already assume, do not start anything. I mean, I basically just tied it in there. I would not use this to be like, oh, I'm gonna publish my book. I'm going to sign a lease. Things like that. I do have to move into my apartment right before this and like order furniture, but I already signed the lease like 2 days ago. It's like whatever. I would not begin anything that's an experiment or new or risky in a way that's like, oh, I don't know how this will turn out. Let me do it under an eclipse. In fact, if you're really like bothered by me telling you not to do something, which I'm the same way. You tell me not to do something, I'm like, haha, watch me. But for this, it's like, okay, you want to? Try an experiment. Launch something small. Start something that doesn't really mean anything. Watch what happens. It's not going to destroy your life, but it's probably going to end up being convoluted and chaotic in a way that you did not initially intend on. So that's how I would say if you really want to do something, experiment. Try something that is in an area of life that's not personal. I can't think of anything off the top of my head because I don't live a normal life. Everything I do is online, so if I start anything, I mean, I'm going to be posting during this time. We'll see what happens. These eclipses look horrendous in my own chart. We'll see what attack happens. It's like solar eclipse in my 11th house on my midheaven. Horrible. Lunar eclipse on my IC. I don't want this, but it's not undesirable. I'm saying like on a surface level, no, I don't want this, but I don't care. Like, come at me. Like, it's just what it is. Astrology is what it is. Nothing's preferable or unpreferable. It just is. It's all a movie. I'm just playing a game. We'll see what happens. Eclipses are like the really intense parts of the game, but I would say what to do: chill, observe, do not react. A big one is do not get involved in other people's shit. Eclipses are maybe the worst time to get involved in other people's shit because you don't want to be the fiery, syzygy obstruction, which you might be. You might be that eclipse showing up in their life. I'm the eclipse showing up in a lot of people's lives. I was born actually under the eclipse of the Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton scandal. Eclipses, namely solar eclipses, were often correlated with the downfall of kings. They were usurped. So solar eclipses, huge new beginning. The sun, royalty, new beginning, usurpment, and some new ruler comes in. So usually it's like the downfall of someone and then someone is coming in. Lunar eclipses is usually more about the collective and a large ending in the world. So yeah, that is when I was born. That's the energy that I kind of have a little bit. And I think because of that, I mean, maybe you don't think I'm qualified because you just hate me, but I do think, like, in an energetic way, I'm a smidge bit qualified to be like, if I could, I would not choose an eclipse to start the major decisions of my life, more so than any other time probably. There's some things like Mercury retrograde, which are inconveniences, some things like Mars retrograde, which show you're gonna have to go and redo some shit that you really worked on. Eclipses are like, I really would avoid the chaos because it's not a going back to redo. It's like you were ingrained with that chaos. Like, do I wish this on someone? No, I don't. But I do have Rahu, which is, let me just show you, I have a tattoo tour coming, but we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this tattoo. Let's just do this. I don't want to show my toes. Maybe I don't even give a shit. But you can pay me if you want. I'm just going to do this. So I have oh my God, I'm falling down now. I have a king cobra on my leg. This cobra has here, what you will notice is a U. It's a horseshoe thing. This U is naturally on king cobras. Let me see if I can do this. Oh my God, this is like such an ab workout. Oh my God, I'm like falling down. This U, as you can see on the head of the cobra, that is naturally on cobras. And that is the representation of the North Node, the Rahu symbol, and it's naturally on cobras. So snakes and dragons, and I have a dragon as well, they're associated with eclipses because they guard the boundary between the, I don't want to say the underworld, but like the veil or the magical world. I'm really trying to do this without like stretching this top too much, but I have a dragon here that says nullius in verba, or take no one's word for it. So dragons and snakes are associated with eclipses because they're the guardians of that dark world, that underworld in a way. And I always felt very connected to them, just I find they're cool. They're cool, I'm connected to them, whatever. I put this on my leg because I was born with my sun conjunct the North Node. And I wanted to make sure that, for one, I had a cool snake tattoo because petty. And also I have power right here, like power is written right there. And I wanted to make sure that I was, let me move my face so this will focus, that I was grounded in power because Rahu increases what it touches. So like having my sun conjunct the North Node, I'm the first person to say it. I have the biggest ego. I mean, ego is not good or bad, but like the expectations, the dopamine that I get out of like achievement, I don't know anyone like this. And a lot of my struggles and my successes come from this, if not all. So I wanted to make sure that I was grounded in power and that I had that very verbalized on me, that I'm not in my head with it, because you can be an egomaniac and not be harmful and not think that you're better than anyone. Because egomaniac, you could joke around and say I am due to the level of achievement and pressure on self achievement that I have around myself. It's huge and it feels like this fireball of weight on my shoulders. It does not in any way mean that I think I'm better than anyone. It means that I am different. I'm different in a way that my standards for myself must be excellent. But it's the kind of energy that is so like fireball destructive because anything in my way is just like whatever. But it's also funny when people think that I'm doing something like to them. Like, I don't know who you are. Do you see my chart? Do you think I know who you are? Do you think I took from like whatever? So that is a kind of very intense energy that does come with eclipses that I would not wish on anyone. It can destroy and it can get you very far. And I think that the number one thing that I would concisely recommend is chill, live your life normally, analyze where the eclipses are happening, whether it's a huge new beginning catalyst event or a huge ending catalyst event, and possibly come to terms with what world events could initiate that, because it's not good or bad. I was having eclipses in my education sectors when I was like graduating high school, went on to college. I was having eclipses in my mental health and physical health sectors when I started getting into houses. I don't know why I'm saying sectors, like some type of fucking weird ass. I was having eclipses in my physical health areas when I started getting really into weightlifting and yoga teacher training. I'm now having eclipses in my houses around creativity and public image, as I feel like it's finally like, fuck being scared of the haters. What are you gonna do? Come in my house and hurt me? No, you tried and I moved, and now I'm gonna live in a building with maximum security. Fucking try. So it just is very much like I'd say that I look forward to the major adjustments of life that are coming that are eclipses to, like, eclipses are the most intense life adjustments, and I look forward to them in that way. In the moment, acupuncture sucks, but afterward you feel great. So it's kind of the same thing where you cannot override shock, you cannot override the nervous system, but you can be like, cool, that changed the trajectory of my life and I wouldn't wish it any different. So that's my eclipse TLDR. If you do start anything during an eclipse that, like, you can't help but do follow up with comments, like, tell us how it went, because I don't give a shit, so I'm not gonna care. So let us know, because I don't judge you. I start things under eclipses because I can't help it, and because I'm born under an eclipse, so I feel kind of like, let's just do it. I feel very alive during eclipse season. It's kind of like how people born under Mercury retrograde tend to have an easier time with Mercury retrogrades because they're used to dealing with that energy. And people who are born with Mars retrograde will probably have an easier time during this upcoming Mars retrograde. So that's a little bit of like do's and don'ts around eclipse season, but it's just kind of one major thought. And I hope that this was helpful for years to come, because I don't want to redo this video because I feel very aligned here at the beautiful Ritz Nomad. This set, people are really into this set, so I'll show you what it is. This is a set from, what is this called? Wolford. My CTO got me this set. Sasha, you rock. She's amazing. And she knew I would love this. This is like a hibiscus red. It's called hibiscus. So it's a little bit like pinky red, but it's the kind of soft pink red that is red, but like it has a bit of the pink, so it's not pink, but like it's like it's not even a pink red, but there's a softness to it. How do I fucking say it? But anyway, it's very comfortable. I'm into it. I wear it at the gym, and it covers my tattoos, which I don't like, but I get like more compliments when I wear this than anything else. So maybe long sleeves are like a thing. I think it's because, I don't know, I think it's just because the cohesion, the cutouts. I'm just completely turning this eclipse video into like a look at my glute gains thing. But really, like, I've been weightlifting. Like, I did not really understand until I got a personal trainer recently, like how to lift heavy and have it work. With longer rest, with lifting so heavy that you do go to failure because you can only do 4 reps. I was doing like 8 reps, 30 seconds rest. No. Like double the weight, whatever. But this is the fit. I'm about to go to Whole Foods because I do not like the Ritz room service menu here. It's kind of shit for anyone who's health conscious. So FYI, and there's a Whole Foods right by here. So that's that. This is a long as fuck video. I don't know why anyone watches me. Let me know if you want to video before the solar eclipse, kind of like running through more of an update energetically. If you want a video on like, just, I'll do it anyway, I don't give a shit. Okay.